To any and all native Spanish speakers out there, I apologize if my accent is horrible. I'm still learning. So maybe don't use this video as like the official source of Spanish. This is just my personal experience. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are talking about language. This is episode 9 of Falling in Love with Madrid. And to be honest with you guys, I think the language is probably the second biggest reason why I moved to Spain specifically. The first was because I wanted to be somewhere in Europe, and the second was because we speak Spanish here in Spain. Duh. So a little fun fact about me. If you know me in real life, then you know that I am from New Mexico. If you know me just based on the channel, I don't think I've mentioned that yet, but yes, I'm from New Mexico. I'm from Albuquerque. And because of that, I grew up hearing Spanish a lot, seeing other people speak Spanish a lot, speaking very, very minimal Spanish myself. I am definitely nowhere near fluent on the European system. I was a solid A1. Now that I've lived here, I'm probably somewhere between A1 and A2, so still very, very elementary basic level. However, I'm very comfortable being around Spanish. I can read it pretty well. I can write it okay. I can speak it okay. Listening, they speak very fast here in Spain, so that's still a comprehension skill that I need to work on. But as far as reading it goes, which if you're going to Spain, you're gonna need to be able to read some Spanish, we're good. We're good on that. And when I was thinking about what I could do for this video, I wanted to share phrases that I use in my daily life here in Madrid that I think you guys would find helpful if you're ever in Spain. Now, Madrid and other big areas of Spain are incredibly English friendly. I was just in Malaga and they spoke a ton of English there. In fact, they'll come up to you and start speaking in English to you. They won't even speak in Spanish to you first. Here in Madrid, it's a little bit less English friendly. People will speak to you in Spanish first, but you're in Spain, you should expect that. Spanish is one of the most spoken languages on the planet. I believe it's second, but Mandarin might have overtaken it at this point. I'm not sure. So because of that, there's a little bit more expectation that you know at least basic Spanish when you're going to these places. Now, for me personally, I mainly speak Spanish when I am out eating at restaurants or when I am shopping. My host family speaks English to me because they themselves want to practice and improve their English skills, and so I'll often speak in English to them, also because that is what I find easier. Of course, I'm nowhere near fluent in Spanish, as I mentioned before, but I am fluent in English, so after a long day, it's nice to speak the language that you're the most comfortable with. Which is also why I think it's so important to learn key phrases of the language that people speak in the place that you're going to. You can't assume everybody speaks English. I know, like in the States, if somebody were to come into restaurants that I've worked at or places that I frequent and just start speaking Spanish and speak only in Spanish, I mean, in New Mexico, we'll probably be able to find somebody that can help them out, but that's certainly not like the norm, and it's not something to be expected, especially not in large Spanish-speaking communities, unlike New Mexico. So, with that in mind, that's why I feel like it's very important, out of respect, out of just learning the language, we're so blessed to be able to explore the world. The least we can do is learn some phrases. The least we can do is learn how to say hello and goodbye. And thank you. That's another really important one. So, with that being said, I'm going to tell you guys some of the phrases that I use the most frequently here in Spain, because I think if you're visiting Madrid, you're going to find these very helpful. Disclaimer, some of these are going to be Spain specific. I really haven't spoken Spanish in Latin America or Mexico or South America, and there are very, very different dialects between these countries and cultures. So something that means one thing over in Spain will probably not mean the same thing in Latin America or South America or wherever else you're going to be. Some of these phrases are universal, but some of them aren't, so this video is specifically for Spain. Okay, so first I've got 3. These are very, very, very basic. You should know these. I'm guessing most of the people watching this video already know these. Hola is hello. Adios is goodbye. Alternatively, you can also use ciao. Adios is more formal, ciao is more informal. And gracias, which is thank you. In Spain, there's a bit of a different accent. The C kind of sounds like a TH. You can hear it when I say gracias. In Central America, South America, Latin America, it's more of a solid C sound. It's more gracias than it is gracias. So, if you learn no other Spanish, at least learn those 3 words that I just shared with you and this phrase. This phrase is very simple, habla inglés. Or more accurately, habla inglés. You probably know that conjugating verbs works differently in Spanish than it does in English. You change the conjugation of verbs depending on the person or persons that you're speaking to. So, because of that, if you are asking somebody like your waiter or waitress or a helper at the shop or just anybody, if they speak English, I personally tend to use the second person formal conjugation, which is taking hablar, which is to speak, and turning it into habla. You speak, formal. If you want to use something informally, then it's hablas inglés. This second phrase, specifically for restaurants, is a bit of a lifesaver. I'm sure you guys have heard the whole stereotype that Europe doesn't have free water, and for the most part, that's sort of true. The thing is, if you were to order water at a European restaurant, they're most likely going to give you a bottled water, which of course is going to cost money. In America, we default to tap water. In Europe, they default to the little bottled water. So if you want tap water, specifically in Spain, what you want to ask for is un vaso de agua, a glass of water. And they'll give you this like little glass of tap water. It may not be the coldest, but it will be free. Continuing with the restaurant theme, our third phrase is going to be one of the ways you can order food. This is a little bit more informal, but it's not so demanding. So in America, we might go, oh, I'd like, or I'll have, or something like that. In Spain, you want to say me pones. The direct translation of me pones is you put me. So it doesn't quite work, but I guess the closest thing would be, can you put this in for me? If you're ordering tapas or paella, you would say something like, me pones un paella. These next 2 are about paying. Now, you're at the end of your meal, and in Spain, we really like our long meals. And so because of that, you're most likely going to need to call your server over so that way you can get your check and then proceed to go. How do you get it? You know, gesture to your server, you wave them down, and then you say, la cuenta por favor, or la cuenta porfa, which is the bill please. Por favor is the official way of saying please, but I've heard a lot of Madrileños shorten it to porfa. They do that a lot, shortening words. Por favor gets shortened to porfa. Gracias, sometimes the S gets left off and it's just gracias. De nada is shortened to nada, which is you're welcome. Things like that. So la cuenta porfa or la cuenta por favor is the bill please. And then they might ask you a question about how you're going to pay. If you're paying with card, you are paying con tarjeta. If you're paying with cash, you're paying con efectivo. And those are the direct translations of those 2. This next one is also used in a restaurant setting. Can you tell that I mainly speak Spanish in restaurant settings? I can. And that is estoy listo, or alternatively, estamos listo, which means I'm ready. If you use estoy, that's you, I am ready, or estamos, which is we. And it's essentially a signal that, hey, we're ready to order. These next phrases might not be used so much in specific situations, but are just general Spanish phrases that are good to know. So the first of these is ¿qué tal?, which is their form of greeting. It's kind of saying like, what's up, how are you, etc., etc. So where in other places they might say ¿cómo estás?, or ¿qué pasa?, here in Spain it's ¿qué tal?, The other one that you're going to use more often when you're greeting shop owners or people who are checking you out is hola, buenas. Buenas directly translates to good, but in this context, it means have a good day or just a general wish of wellness and goodness. The next phrase is probably the word that I say the most here, and that is perdona, or alternatively, perdón. And both of these mean sorry, but it's a very more informal sorry. So if you bump into somebody on the metro, instead of going lo siento, which is like a serious sorry, you're saying oh perdón. Like in English, we'd say oh sorry, oh perdón. Similarly, if you want to like move your way through the crowd, if you want people to move, then you're saying perdón or perdona. Perdona is a little bit more polite than perdón. And then this next one is the follow-up phrase to that. So if somebody bumps into you and goes, oh, perdón, then you say no pasa nada, which is it's no issue. It's fine. And then this final one, although I don't think it's the word that I use the most, I do think it's the word that Spaniards use the most, and that is vale. If you go to Spain, you're gonna hear vale everywhere. Oh, vale, vale, vale. And vale can mean an assortment of things. It can mean okay, or yes, or I understand, or anything like that. A lot of the times where I'll say sí in conversation, a actual Spaniard would say vale. This final phrase I wanted to give an honorable mention to because even though it's not really a phrase that I can see you using on your trip, it might be something that you hear, and it is the phrase that confused me the most when I first heard it. And that phrase is tienes hambre? Are you hungry? Or the direct translation, which is do you have hunger? Now, the reason why tienes hambre confused me so much when I first heard it is because I thought my host dad was asking me tienes hambre, which is do you have a man? Very different question. So if you hear that in like a restaurant setting, or if somebody's asking you something about dinner and they're asking tienes hambre, then they're asking if you're hungry, not if you have a man. And yeah, those are the phrases that I have. I hope some of you guys have found this video helpful. Again, I apologize if my accent isn't great. It's something I'm still trying to work on, but I mean, even with the accent that I have, I'll speak in Spanish to people and they will understand me and speak in Spanish back to me sometimes. I've noticed the moment that you speak English, the moment that they hear you speak English to other people, then they will switch over to English. But honestly, it's not really something to be offended by. Most likely, they're trying to make a more comfortable experience for you, or they want to practice their English. So I've had experiences in restaurants where my waiter and waitress will communicate with me only in English and I'll communicate back with them only in Spanish. If you found anything in this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe. Next week, we are talking about city life. We are getting down to our final 2 videos, guys. It's my last final weeks here, which is absolutely insane because I, for whatever reason, thought that I had forever here, but I really don't. I'll be back in Albuquerque in 2.5 weeks, which is gonna just absolutely fly by. If you're curious about what my day-to-days look like abroad, check out my Instagram at Katie Abroad, where I'm posting daily vlogs or trying to post daily vlogs. I got a little bit behind because I just came back from Germany when I'm filming this, so yeah. But that's kind of all that I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.